The burnt egg roll?
What's up, man? How you been?
Just chilling, dude.
Right on, right on. I appreciate you taking your time out of your day to do this with me, man.
Absolutely.
I see you and me, we're thinking the same. We're both rocking bandanas like Pac, you dig? To all the people tuned in around the world, this is my man, Jason, aka Uncanny, reppin' P-Town. Pomona, what's good, man? How you been, though?
I've been chilling, man. Just trying to survive all the craziness that's going on. You know what's up.
Yep, I feel you. Right now, man, I'm absolutely 100% sober.
Really?
The past couple years I've been doing, maybe a few years, I've been doing experiments with my brain, like how I act when I'm sober versus when I'm high or when I'm drinking, to see how I handle different situations. So I feel like being sober right now is a good way to start it off, but eventually if you want to have a drink with me or blaze some trees, we can get into that.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. How long has that been going on?
Experimentation with my brain?
Yeah.
I've always been blazing trees since I moved to LA. I got started out in Korea heavy with Dan, but once I got to LA, it's been more frequent because it's so easy to get out here and nobody cares.
It's legal in this state.
Absolutely. Uncanny, he's a teacher by day and a beat maker / video gamer by night.
You could say that.
Among other things.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's more to your mind than just those few things, but that's what I know. But I guess part of doing this podcast is trying to get to know you a little bit better. We first met like in 2009, I believe.
Been that long, huh?
Yeah, it's been that long, man.
That's wild.
Good times, man. It doesn't seem like that long ago, but then sometimes it does seem like that long ago,
Yeah, no, definitely. I can see that. I feel that way too.
I guess before we get into like some of your history, I guess starting off with like your current situation. I know you've been teaching virtually online due to the pandemic. So how have you been liking that so far?
Well, I specifically work in special education. So it's been pretty challenging just because you just don't know what you're going to get as far as help wise in the house with, either parents or guardians or anything like that. Because, a lot of times they send their kids to school to get a lot of the services that they can't provide at home. So all across the country, probably in the world, that have education where they have special needs students that get services, they're missing a lot of those services. And I wouldn't be surprised if studies came out 6 months from now, a year from now, saying how much kids have regressed. Even general ed students have regressed just because they're not in classes every day with the teacher and getting the services that they need. So it's been a challenge for everybody involved. I can tell you that for sure.
Mm-hmm. You personally, do you feel like that your students are still kind of learning something, or do you feel like you would be more of service if you were like in person?
I think that they're getting the most that they can given the circumstances, but obviously it'd be much better in person. But that's out of my hands, and that's out of most people's hands, so you just got to do the best you can in the given situation, because that's really all you can do.
Always. So when you're teaching them, do you have a specific subject that you teach them, or everything?
It encompasses everything. I mean, we do, math and English, but we also do, current events and other like life skill stuff. And one of the things that we actually like to do with the kids when we actually have them is like show them how to balance a checkbook and show them how to go shopping and those type of things that are important skills, more than just, can you solve this algebra equation? Because for some of these guys, that's never going to be something that they're going to need to do in their adult life. But buying food for themselves is important, you know what I mean?
I feel you. I was going to say, I don't even need to use algebra every day. There's a lot of shit I don't even use that I've learned throughout like history, but like I was telling my manager the other day, I said, in reality, I think most students, they learn all the general information they need to know by 8th grade. And after that, it's more about learning like life skills, vocational skills, things of that nature. I feel like high school and college, the only really main benefit I see is like it teaches you like social skills and drinking and experimenting with drugs and trying to fuck each other.
Those are important skills to know.
That's why like some people when they graduate from college, I feel like there's like a feeling of, man, I still don't really know shit, you know? At least for me personally, when I graduated college, I was like, fuck, man, what do I really know about life, you know? And I think what you were saying about like balancing checkbooks and going to stores and all that stuff is important life skills. You're teaching high school kids, right?
Junior high.
Oh, junior high. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that's good that you're teaching them that type of stuff that early, because I think there's a lot of people, man, that graduate college that don't even know how, well, I guess not too many people use checkbooks anymore. Most of the stuff is like digital or yeah. But
I mean, that's the most basic version. I mean, just checking your balances is more important than anything else. I mean, the actual checkbook is more just so they can have a physical thing to look at as opposed to just digital numbers on a screen. But I think just in general, you need to know how to read your balance and see how much you're spending and what your budget is and how much you're bringing in and that type of stuff, so you know not to get yourself into trouble financially.
Absolutely. How long have you been working with these kids or teaching at your current job?
This is my 7th year, something like that. 7th or 8th, something like that. I can't remember the exact, because I got hired in the middle of a school year, but I was working at the school prior to it, so it's kind of a tricky thing. I can't remember exactly how long it's been, but it's been a while now though.
Oh, okay. So you like it though, overall?
I do. I wish the pay was better.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think most people could say that.
The pay is one thing, but I think the knowledge that you acquire and the skills that you learn from whatever job you choose to do is more important than the money. Like the money comes and goes, but like, do you feel like you're learning for the next thing, or do you feel like you know everything and then it's more so about just money, stacking chips?
Right.
So I don't know, I guess that's what people they have to try to understand, you know, is why they are doing whatever they're doing in life. Me personally, I've had many jobs, you know, I've played many different roles in my life. When I was younger, I would chase the money. I would do things for the money. But as I got older, I realized, okay, whatever job you choose, unless you have aspirations to go to the top and become like a manager or CEO, like you just have to, you can kind of gauge, I guess, like how much you're going to make, right? Year to year. And then after that, it's just like balancing your lifestyle, basically. Like,
right.
I know I'm making X amount of dollars. What kind of lifestyle do I want to have? If I'm not happy with the lifestyle that the money is providing, then it's always like, okay, I got to think on how to move up or make more money. If that is if that's your main purpose, right?
Even that is a slippery slope. If that's your only focus, then how do you really get fulfillment out of what you're doing? I mean, that's what I would ask somebody that's their only focus is monetary gains.
Yeah, that was my perspective, you know, when I was younger. All through my 20s is just chasing money, you know. How can I get more money so I can buy shit that I realize later in life that I really don't need. But I won't never trade anything that I've done in my 20s and even a little bit of my early 30s for anything, because that's all like learning experiences.
It's good life lessons.
Yeah, I've tricked off a lot of money, you know, messed with a lot of different women. Looking back on it, I can say that it was fun in the moment, but it never gave me like life fulfillment. Once I got into my 30s, in my early 30s, probably 30, 31, I was like, what road do I want to go down? You know, do I want to continue to chase money so I can acquire things that most people don't even really care or think about if I have it or not, right? It's all in my mind. Or do I want to put my value on something else? I guess that's when I started reading more books. I've always read books, but that's when I was like, all right, I have to put some more knowledge and information in my brain. And it started with the autobiography of Malcolm X. That book changed my life tremendously when I was like, I think 31. I don't know. Have you ever read that book before?
I've read bits and pieces of it. I started and stopped it a couple of times. I'm not a real big book reader.
Got you.
But I can appreciate people reading these books and getting a ton of knowledge from them, you know what I mean?
Well, the reason I say Malcolm X was that book changed my life the most was because throughout his life he changed tremendously so many times. From when he was young, what society would deem not a good man of character, right? And he went to prison, and then going to prison, and then changing his mentality, joining the Nation of Islam. But a lot of people don't know, if they never read that book, the thing that happened at the end of the book. I don't know if you want me to tell you. If I could, I guess it's good information to know.
Go ahead and say it, because I mean it's valuable information, so you might as well put it out in the atmosphere.
Yeah, I'll tell you, because I think a lot of people, they need to know. But like at the end of the book, his mind changed tremendously again. Like after he went on his pilgrimage to Mecca, there was a period, like I think around 12 years or so, where he was in the Nation of Islam, and he was speaking like separatism and segregating basically whites from blacks.
Yeah.
The blacks should have their own like nation or state, to themselves. Mm-hmm. And so he went through 12 years of his life doing this. And then he got into some controversy with the leader, Elijah Muhammad, because he found out that Elijah Muhammad was banging out all his secretaries, and he even like fathered kids with some of his secretaries in the Nation of Islam. And Malcolm X like called him out on that. He's like, yo, you're preaching this, but you're doing this. And from that point, that's when things went south between Malcolm and the Nation of Islam. Now there's a bunch of controversy and conspiracy as far as like who killed Malcolm. Was it the Nation of Islam or the CIA? But after he got suspended from the Nation of Islam, he was on his own, basically. Didn't have that much money. He took a trip to Mecca, and that trip transformed his life again. Because when he got there, he realized that there was more white people out there, he said, that were more holy than, some of the people that he thought were the most holy. That changed his perspective. So when he came back, he realized, all the stuff that I was preaching the last 12 years was wrong. He kept all the good morals that he learned from the Nation of Islam, but he said, I have to start my own movement, my own Muslim movement, but, we're not going to preach separatism anymore. And to make a long story short, he came back to the States, and then I think within 6 months to a year, he got murdered.
Right.
So a lot of people don't know that. They just, all they know about Malcolm is by any means necessary,
Yeah, for sure.
And that's all I knew too, man.
Right.
Before I said, what, let me read this book. It's not a, once you get into it, it's a long book. It's like 400 pages. But once you get into it, like you kind of can see like how his mind works. And that book right there inspired me to say, you know what? Even though I thought what I was doing in my 20s and teens was the way to go, like I realized, you could be anything you want to be, man, if you believe it. And it's okay to change and say, you know what? I was wrong about how I thought.
Right.
Not to say you forget about everything who you were in the past, but you just, like what Malcolm did, you take the good things that you've learned from the past and then get rid of all the negative shit or ways of thinking that you used to think.
Right.
And then move forward that way. So that book, the autobiography of Malcolm X, started a major transformation of my mind state. I think that's why they always say like real education starts after you get done with formal education, right?
Yeah, no, definitely.
But I think the problem is that most people, they by the time they get done with high school or college, they have information overload about bullshit that they don't even really want to learn. I don't know if you agree with that or not.
No, I definitely agree with that. I mean, if you go to school to be whatever, like a nurse or something, and you take classes other than your nursing classes to fulfill requirements to graduate, like why do you need a history class on ancient Rome? You know, but it's to fill the requirement of the university you're at because they want to fill all the classes. So it's a business play, and it always has been.
Facts. That's you know what time it is. That's exactly what I was thinking in my head, and I've been knowing that, but I was like, with school, yeah, I think as you said, it's a business, right? High school is okay, unless you're going to like private school, because most public high schools you can go for free pretty much. But once you get to college and you're starting to have to pay for like these classes, I start to think, okay, what am I really learning that's going to help me make money, right? They don't teach you how to make money in college. I guess that's the issue I have with formal education. I always thought I was a fairly smart guy, but when I got done with college, I had no direction. And
Right.
And school's not going to give you that. Each individual has to, I think, go look for that themselves. Some people they find it, or if they have like family members, or they have like connections, they kind of get into certain situations based off of that. And then some people, they have to find it, and some people, they never find it, or they never start looking for who or what they can become.
Yeah, like you said, a lot of times, unless you have connections at an early age or at some point to do exactly what you want to do or whatever, you don't know, like you said, you don't know that plan to get from point A to point B. So you're just like bouncing all over the place. But once you have that connection that can be like, all right, you need to do this, this, and this. I'll get you this job here. You're set. Then it makes going to school like a better experience because you know what you're going to get out of it, instead of going to school, changing your major 4 times, getting out of school, not applying your major to whatever job you can find, them telling you need to have experience to work here, but then you can't find a job in the field you want, so you can't get the experience, so you just feel like you're just running around in circles. You know what I mean? And I feel like a lot of people fall into that trap.
That happens so often, man. And I think if we really looked at, I guess, the United States, because that's the country that we live in, if we took a poll or survey of all the college graduates of 2020 and asked them, do you know what you want to do? I wouldn't be surprised, and I would guess that over 50% or more probably don't know what the fuck they want to do with their life. Just a hunch.
You're probably right about that, man, because you go in thinking, all right, I have an idea of what I want to be, but you don't know anybody that's actually done that thing, so they can't steer you to where you need to go. So you're just going by what a counselor tells you that you have to do, and they're going by a list of classes and prerequisites and all this other stuff that you have to fulfill to get to the classes that you need to take. And then you have to pass those classes and somehow maybe find an internship or something just to get to the point where you're trying to get in the field that you thought you wanted to be in. And then when you get in that field and you find out, oh, this ain't for me, and you spend all that money trying to figure out your life plan, and you have to change it. And that's demoralizing for people, I'm sure.
It's happened to me many times, man. I've changed career paths many times, and there were times where I'm like, yeah, this is the job. I can see myself doing this forever. But then for whatever reason, I either get fired or I quit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, it happens, man. Definitely.
But like I said, what I was telling you earlier, it's not about the actual job. A job is a job, right? I feel like, if you get online, there's many jobs. Like if you want employment, you can find any kind of job, but it's about using the knowledge and skills that you acquire from one job and beefing up your resume, and then applying it to the next job and showing your employer how the skills you've learned from your previous job can translate into the job that you want or that you're applying for currently. You know what I mean?
So, well, and I think too, sometimes you just get stuck doing a job and it's a decent job and you're good with it, and you might not find that fulfillment in your work, but that's when you have to be creative and think outside, like what other projects can I do that I can be passionate about while still being good at my job and doing what I have to do to put food on the table.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes you're not going to be happy at your job, but you can find other ways to express yourself the way you want, and maybe that could turn into a career at some point too.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, that's what like I did. I guess I'm trying to think what the last like job I had. It's been so long, you know, since I was like employed. I guess the last major corporation job I had was 24-hour fitness back in like
Yeah, I was gonna say, weren't you working at a gym for a while?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was doing that like from 2012 to the middle of 2013. And what happened, that was the last like corporate job that I had
Right.
and what happened was I met a guy, his name is Ed. I think you might, I don't know if you ever met my guy Ed.
Yeah, I think I came out, or me and Dan came out, and I think we had dinner somewhere and watched some games, and then I think he had a arcade cabinet in his garage, like his little man cave, right?
Yeah, you met him. That's
Yeah,
my guy
I met him.
Eddie B. We went to BJ's that night. I think we went somewhere else in the BJ's, but yeah, he's the
Something
one
like that.
yeah, he's the one that I cold called him at when I was working at 24-hour fitness, because that's what they would make me do, is cold call people that used to have personal training from 24 and they still had sessions left on their previous package, but they haven't showed up for months or whatever. So they would give me a list and be like, here, Brandon, go call these people and see what's up with them, you know? And I called him one afternoon, and, you know, we got to talking and we had good rapport, and, you know, I got him to come back at 24-hour fitness. But 24-hour fitness, their pricing is very expensive, more expensive than I think personal training is worth in my mind. And he thought the same thing too. And he was like, how about I just pay you cash and we go to the gym and you train me? You know, you can probably make more. It's tax free, you know? And I was like, thought about it. And I was doing it for a while. I had my clients at 24-hour fitness, and I was training him on the side, which is a conflict of interest to 24-hour fitness, you know? So eventually I had to make a choice. Do I want to go independent or stay here? And I chose the independent route. And so I was just making a living off of training him. And then I was training other clients, as well as I started training little kids in the area, Diamond Bar, Walnut area, in basketball. So I say all that to say that, I guess, yeah, if you, as long as you never stop searching, you know, and grinding, you'll fall into something. And then I started a YouTube channel in 2015, P.V.R LYFE, and then from that it transitioned into NBA 2K live streaming. And I was doing that, man, for a long time. And I still would be doing that today, but I went so hard on that shit that my hands are all fucked up now. Like every day I have pain in my hands, you know, like early signs of probably carpal tunnel or arthritis, you know what I'm saying? So I was like,
Yeah.
do I want to keep beating my hands up, or am I going to make a transition? And what I learned from like 2K live streaming is I like to entertain, but how can I do it where I don't have to use my hands?
Right.
So which led me to what we're doing right now. This is like where I see myself being. I don't know how long it's going to last for, but you know, this is like my dream, to be like the yellow Joe Rogan. So that's, you know, so life is a journey, right? As long as you never stop searching. For you or anybody that is working somewhere, the moment you're like, okay, I'm happy with where I'm at, like, then that's where you're going to be at. But if you say, I can see myself doing more in life, or I can see myself getting into something different, then it's all about, like, I guess, timing and planning for the future, right? I wrote down some stuff that we can talk about. I don't know if you have anything on your mind in particular.
No, I came in with a empty palette, and I was gonna let you just dictate.
Yeah,
We'll go from there.
I did a podcast like a week or two ago with Greg. I don't know if you remember Greg, me and Dan's friend.
The name sounds familiar.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure if you had met him before, but we met him in Korea, and he was like our good buddy that we played ball with every weekend. And you know, he's originally from Seattle, so he became he became a lawyer in Seattle. So I did a podcast with him like a week or two ago, and I went into that one same thing as you. I said, you know, I'm gonna go in with a clean mind and just kind of freestyle it, which it turned out good. And I have clips and stuff and the full podcast all edited and chopped up and everything. But I told myself, you know, if I want to do this shit for a living, like, I have to have some kind of system or format that I try to follow and be a little bit more articulate. Because last time when I did it with him, like, I was just blazing trees, and I didn't drink, but when I know when I blaze trees, my mind, it becomes more free and liberal, but it becomes more abstract.
Right.
It's not very focused and concise thoughts. So I was like, when I was watching that podcast, I could see like how I'm talking and thinking, like, and I was like, I should have said this here, but when you're high, you don't, sometimes you're just stoned, you know, and you don't really, your mind isn't functioning at full capacity. So when I came into today's podcast with you, I was like, let me start it off sober with clear thoughts, and then see how it goes. And if I feel like I need to loosen up or whatever, I'll have a sip of something or smoke some weed, which I have ready to go already. But I want to see, you know, like I was texting you, I said, everything I do, I look at it as practice.
Right.
You know, so
I definitely think that's a good idea, just based on how I know podcasts and YouTube in general works. Is like, sometimes the free flowing, just do whatever type of thing is good, but I think a lot of people kind of search for certain things and they expect certain things from that particular person, so you kind of have to give it to them, but you have to be creative with it every time so it doesn't get stale.
Joe Rogan, he's one of my big inspirations. And when I was I forgot to tell you, I was Uber driving and lifting hard for a year through LA, and that shit was one of my favorite jobs. Because I looked at that as practice too, man. You
could probably write a book about that experience.
Oh my God, I could. But I've had over 1,000 people in my ride, you know, and it's just, I looked at it like learning how to conversate or practice conversating, right?
Right.
Making a conversation out of nothing. And most people, they're down to talk, you know. But then of course, you know, you have to read body language. So when I had some passengers that weren't in the mood, or I could tell right away, and so I just let them be and just threw on a Joe Rogan podcast or some music and just zoned out, you know. Yeah, but in that experience, when I didn't have passengers in my car, I would listen to a lot of Joe Rogan's podcast while I was driving through the streets of LA. And I could kind of see how he does his thing, you know, and he's very like free flowing, freestyle, unformatted. But I went back and watched some of his earlier work when he first started. His shit was sloppy as fuck. Like, same thing. He started just smoking a lot of weed, drinking, no major direction. But over time, he transitioned into a little bit more focused podcasts. Right. And then I think once you get into that routine, it becomes like riding a bike. In the beginning, you have to, I think, find some type of structure in your mind that works for you. And then over time, it just becomes natural. Yeah. Or you're like, all right, I know in my mind already how I want to, you know, do these things. But
well, it's important to be able to self-analyze and find where you can improve and what went well, and kind of figure it out in your own mind as a critic, as a fan, as everything. You know, you have to know and be honest with yourself and be like, man, okay, I can improve in this, I need to do this, I can take this from this person, take this from this source, incorporate this, and just constantly try to improve and just keep working at it, you know. That's the key.
Yep. It's like practice and then testing it, right? Practice every day. It's like, I look at it as practice, testing, putting it out to the world, seeing how they respond, hearing people's critiques, what they liked and what they didn't like, and then also like being your own worst critic, I guess, or best critic, however you want to look at it. I think the biggest thing that a lot of people they run into if they're into like arts and entertainment is they don't know how to be a fan of their own work. And that's what I realized.
No,
Like,
that's funny that you say that. When I was at the height of my music making,
mm-hmm.
I always considered myself my biggest critic and my biggest fan, because you have to be confident in yourself and your abilities, but you also have to be real with yourself and say that wasn't the best, I can improve, and always feel that you can make everything better.
You can still go, man. You're not done yet. You still have a lot of life left, I believe. But yeah, I agree. If you don't think your shit is the shit, why would another motherfucker think your shit is the shit, right? That's what it comes down to.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's why I always, whatever I create, I always like try to show like people and then see what kind of response you get. Another thing too, I think, is a lot of people, they try to show their work to the people around them, and that's the hardest group to convince that your shit is good, because your friends and family, they know you, they know the old Uncanny, you know, they know what you're, and so they don't, they, in their mind, they might not look at you as a superstar until the masses see you as a superstar. So to me, I told myself, I don't give a fuck what like my friends say, my family says. I'm gonna do it and put it out to the world, and then let the world decide. And then whatever I do becomes big. Like your friends and family, they'll still be there, right? And and that's why you see a lot of like famous people that make it always say, yeah, it's always, you know, your friends and family that, you know, are always come back later and say, oh, I knew he was gonna make it, you know. That happens a lot, you know. But they'll be your worst critics in the beginning. You brought up your music, but I guess before we go into your music, I kind of want to, because we've been friends for like a long time now, and I never really kind of had like this type of in-depth conversation with you. And so since we have this time together, I kind of wanted to kind of get your I guess a little bit more background as far as like where you were born, where you grew up, and some of your experiences.
I was born in the same city I live in right now, dude. Just Pomona. That's my spot.
Pomona.
Pomona has around here.
Pomona has a tough reputation sometimes. It's known. It's known.
Some famous people from Pomona, and we got some famous people from Pomona. So, yeah, I mean that's basically it. I mean, you know, I guess one of the reasons why you mentioned that we haven't had one of these like background talks is because I really am not the biggest talk about myself type of person. You probably have noticed that over the years. It's just not really my thing.
Yep. But I believe everybody has a story, man. And it's about, I guess, trying to like bring it out, right? Or
no, of course.
Everybody, I think everybody has that inside of them that they want to express their feelings.
Well, I think everybody has a unique story that should be heard, you know? Everyone's gone through their own individual path. You know, mine's no different.
Pomona. So I've human trafficked through Pomona many times in the year that I was Ubering and lifting, and I've seen some bad parts of it, but I've also seen some places within Pomona that are nice. Like I was like, yo, I would live here, man. It's a nice crib. Even though it's
yeah, there are some great, like over the years, different areas have become really nice, you know. But if you think back towards, you know, late 80s to mid 90s, when I was like grade school, junior high, getting ready to go into high school, that was a different time, you know. I mean, the guys on your wall were running the hip hop business. So it was a lot of East Coast versus West Coast. And even within the community, it was like, you know, red neighborhoods and blue neighborhoods. So you have to navigate through all that and just be smart and be aware. You know, I think that's one of the things that I learned as a kid, which helps me today, is like, you always got to be aware of your surroundings. You gotta know how to talk to people. You gotta know just how to just figure out the pressure cooker that modern society is, or society back then was.
Mm-hmm. That was the height, I think, of gangster rap, was like the late 80s, early 90s. you know, and then even a little bit into the 2000s, and then today you still have a few people that are still hanging on to it. But growing up in that, have you, or around that I should say, did you ever experience or have any like particular dramatic experiences in that sense, or you kind of you stayed away from all that?
Indirectly, plenty. You know, you hear of people getting shot, you hear all kind of stuff like that, you know. Directly, I wouldn't say so. I mean, I've been asked, you know, about what color I claim or what set you claim and all those other fun things, but I was never involved, so it was cool. And I, you know, having older siblings and just, you know, family, it's just like, all right, don't go there because this is a spot you don't need to be at. So I would navigate and stay clear of that type of stuff because it wasn't for me. But I've known people that I went to school with in grade school. Like I remember I was my freshman year and I got word that a kid that I grew up with he got shot and he was killed, you know, and I'm like, we're both, you know, he would have been a ninth grader just like me. And it was just, it's wild. You never forget that type of stuff when you first hear about a kid that you know at the same age as you just gunned down because you were messing around in the streets doing stuff that you thought was the way to go because that's really all we saw back then.
I've been to your crib before. Is that the same crib that you grew up in, like since you same crib all these years?
We're on the outskirts of a red neighborhood.
Yeah.
So I saw a lot of that stuff too, walking to school sometimes, walking home from school.
Yeah, one thing I guess knowing about you is that you've always kept I can see the group of people, you know, that you hang out with, you know. Since I've been in LA now, we kind of have mutual friends, right? But I guess through Dan.
We do, yeah.
So I could tell the people that you hang around with, they're not like some knuckleheads, you know, that are about some bullshit, you know.
Yeah,
so,
well, none of them are from Pomona. They're all, I met all of them when I started going to school in Claremont in junior high.
What junior high did you go to?
We went to El Roble Intermediate in Claremont, California.
And then you went to Claremont High, right?
Mm-hmm. You know, it's funny. I can still remember in '96 because I can't remember if I was in 7th or 8th grade, but I know I was on campus when we heard about Tupac getting shot. And at that time, I had longer hair and it was braided like Snoop Dogg. So a lot of my classmates would call me Snoop. So it was just kind of a surreal moment. I'm like walking into English class and everybody's like, "Did you hear Tupac got shot?" And we were just like, "What?" It was just, I'll never forget that moment either, man. It was wild.
Was that the second time he got shot, right, in Vegas?
Yeah. When he actually passed after that, yeah.
Yeah. I knew where I was too, man. That was a sad day in my life because even to this day, I'm still inspired by Tupac's work. And yeah, I remember that too. I was on the playground with my friends. In my mind, I was like, yeah, he made it through the first one. He's going to be all right. And then 7 days later, when the news came out, I was devastated, man, for a while, you know. And it's weird. I haven't felt that way, I think, about somebody that I'd never met that strongly until Kobe Bryant's passing recently. That shit, when I heard Kobe died, man, that shit was like, it took about a week for me to like mentally get right, you know. And I never even met this man, but you and me both, we've seen him grow up.
Yeah, I know exactly where I was at that moment when I heard about Kobe's die. I was at the gym, I was at the squat rack, I was getting ready to do something, and my phone started buzzing because people were texting me talking about, "Hey, Kobe just died in a plane crash," and I was like, "Stop joking." And then on the TVs in the gym, they started flipping it to like ESPN and CNN and all these other places, and they started reporting on it, and I was just like, that's wild. What is going on, you know? And then I just couldn't focus for the rest of that day. And then a lot of the kids at school were big, you know, Kobe Bryant fans and Laker fans, so you kind of spent the next day like trying to console kids and tell them, you know, the sky's not falling, but it's okay to feel the way you feel, you know. It was wild.
Yeah, I guess since we're on the topic of like we were on the topic of Tupac, like and you're in making music, who were some of your biggest influences to either make music, or like who inspires you?
Well, it's probably a different list. If you want to know what producers inspired me to start making beats, that's a different list than some of like my favorite, like just artists and rappers in general.
Mm-hmm.
Because rappers didn't necessarily inspire me to do beats. It was um, the different beat makers that I have just listened to over the years. And it wasn't really until I would say 2001, like right around the time I was graduating, when I started actually thinking about making beats. And that was because I was hearing guys like Dilla, High Tech. I think Kanye and dropped that H to the Izzo beat for Jay-Z in 2001. And I was like, I think I want to make soulful beats like that, you know? And then Ninth Wonder came out like maybe a year or two later, and I really started patterning myself and learning where and how they chop their samples so I can not necessarily copy it, but just learn how to do it and then make it my own in the process. So like, especially in college, I would take like beat CDs from like Alchemist, Kanye, Dilla, Madlib, High Tech, like all these different people. And I would just, when I'm studying, I'd pop in my headphones and just study the beats while I'm studying my notes or whatever, you know, learning where guys were chopping stuff, how they were implementing their own bass lines, or what drums they were using, what drum patterns, and, you know, just learning what's a good sample and what's a bad sample. Because when I initially started, I was just so desperate to do it. I would take anything and just try to chop it up and flip it and turn it into whatever. But as I grew and got, well, in my opinion, I got better, I would pick better things to sample that fit the way I wanted to craft my sounds. So like, not every sample is created equal for every style, in my opinion. So I think it's important that you tune your ear to the style that you want to make until you really get good. And then you can go back and be like, all right, I'm going to tackle this now because I'm so much better with my skills. I know I can flip this and make it dope too. So I got to that point too, maybe 3 or 4 years in, where I was like, all right, I think I can do this now because I have the fundamental skills and I've built the tool set to be able to tackle whatever I want to tackle and make something out of it, but make it my own, make it creative, and just, you know, just vibe with it, you know?
Got you. How many times has this happened where you sampled something and come to find out that somebody else sampled it and made it a big track?
Too many times to count. There's things that I've sampled like in 2006 that I hear somebody else made a beat to, and I'm like, I mean, their beat's dope. I still like mine better. Or one of the other things I used to do to challenge myself too was, once I found a particular artist sampled a song and they made a dope beat, I'd be like, all right, you did that. I'm going to flip this too and see how it turns out, and just challenge myself to make something totally different from you, make it my own, and make it dope in my opinion. So, I mean, I think that's a good thing to do for producers. You always got to challenge yourself. You know, you always got to look to improve your craft. And that was one of my favorite things to do. Was I would get like a CD or I would get like a list of songs and then the sample list. And then I would go seek out those songs, and then I would try to flip them my own way. And it was, for me, it was fun. I actually did a couple of beat tapes based on that. So like my Wonderful Tunes series, the reason why I named it Wonderful Tunes is because they were all sampled by Ninth Wonder, and I flipped them my way to try to challenge myself.
Are those still available online somewhere?
Yeah, my Bandcamp is still up. I mean, it's been up.
Plug it, man. I want, because I've always been a fan of your work. You know, you were at that point where like that was the wave back then, like the soul sample beats and the sped up chipmunk sound. You know, everybody was doing that. You know, like the heat makers from Dipset, man, they took that shit and did it on a big scale, you know.
That was the way for a long time, and it's for me it kind of started with Kanye and him just coining I don't know if he coined the phrase soul beats, but that's where I got it from. And that was my thing,
If you want to plug like where your stuff is at right now, since we're in the moment, like go ahead.
The Bandcamp is uncannymusic.bandcamp.com, and everything on there is based on donations. So you can either get it for free or you can donate. I mean, if you're gonna buy it, every couple, like one Friday a month since the pandemic happened, they waive all the fees that they take from it. So if you actually want me to see some money from it, wait for one of those days. Maybe I'll come back on another Friday when it's, or I can find out when the next Friday is, and I'll plug it that way too next time I'm on.
Got you. Yeah. So everybody that's listening right now, check out my man Uncanny.
Uncannymusic.bandcamp.com. I have a search function too, so just search up Uncanny and make sure it's the one from Pomona, and you're good to go.
Okay. Yeah, I think I have a few people in my mind that, follow my YouTube channel and stuff that would be interested because they're into like beat making and music, so they would, I think you can find inspiration anywhere. But where are you at currently right now with your music making? Like, are you still making like similar sounds that you were when you started, or have you been experimenting with like new sounds?
Well, a little bit over the summer when, we were just stuck inside and it was just terrible. I started, I tried to get back into it full time. I just couldn't focus. There's so much stuff going on. But I wanted to challenge myself again, and I was trying to find stuff from the 90s to kind of flip a little bit.
That's heavy. Sorry to cut you off, but that's heavy right now. Like that's the wave. Is a lot of like producers today are sampling hip hop and R&B tracks from the 90s. So yeah. It's been kind of fun for me because I'm a hip hop fan to the death, and to hear some of the samples that from the music that we grew up listening to is kind of dope.
No, it is, and that. Therein lies the what I was talking about earlier is a challenge. So now that everyone's doing it, it's on me to flip it totally different than how they're doing it and using my ear in a different way than they're using their ear, and just to make it sound like it's still uncanny, but I'm not trying to copy anybody else that's doing it right now either. So that's important.
Yeah, I always thought your music was it was good. I like it, and you produced a lot of like sounds that I like. But one thing I know about you is you've never been like a very like outspoken type of person and to hype your shit up like that. You've been very humble about your work. But where do you see yourself doing it? I know you do it now still, but are you doing it more for like a hobby, or do you feel like I want to make a living off of this one day?
Previously, when I was really at the height of it, making 2-3 beats a day or 10 beats a week or whatever it was, I was never focused on the fame or even necessarily making a living off of it, because that's extremely difficult just because of the way the market is set up in music now anyway, or back then too. My main focus was I just want to collaborate with as many people as I can and maybe help them get to where they want to get to. So I've produced albums for different independent people from all over the place. And for me, that was the most important aspect of it. Was I don't necessarily want the fame or the fortune or whatever. I wanted to just be good to great at creating this stuff and having people enjoy it in whatever avenue they choose to enjoy it. Now, would I have liked to have made a living from it? Absolutely. But am I disappointed that I wasn't the next Ninth Wonder or whoever? No, because I'm satisfied with the success that I had. And to me, I was successful because I was able to produce for people from different states. I was able to sell beat tapes. I was able to just create fans and that people that They had no business knowing who I was, and they knew who I was. So I mean, in my eyes, that's good.
I don't think it's over though, man. I feel like I know, money and fame is not your main objective, which I think it should never be for anything. Because it all starts with love. You got to love what you're doing inside, because that love will get you through those hard days where you're like, fuck, man, I'm not seeing any money, or I'm not where I think I could be, even though I know my shit is dope. But I think you're 30, you're 37,
37 in July.
With art, there's no age on that. If you create something dope today in 2020, and you make someone that's like a teenager feel that shit, I feel like you can maybe get to another level if you want to go there, right? And
at this point, it's really just about budgeting time. Then I had more free time than I do now. So for me, it's about just working out a schedule for myself, because I will always admit I am a creature of habit, man. I like to start in the morning and just do, go through the things that I got to do and get done. And then at the end of the day is when I kind of chill and relax. So it's on me to create that time, create that schedule to really get back into it, because I do miss it. And the beats that I did make this summer, maybe like 4 or 5, like I was like, man, this is good. I need to get back into this full time. But again, like I said, it's on me to really focus in on allowing myself a time to let that creative energy out, but I'll spend a lot of time just unwinding just from the day-to-day grind of work, and the other stuff that I'm just like, I'd rather just play video games for a little bit. But like I said, the motivation, it comes and goes. It's just that I need to really harness it better. And that's, like I said, it's on me.
A good friend of mine, him and his boy, they had a production team back in the 2000s, and he got pretty far in the game, and he was signed to Black Wall Street, him and his buddy, to the game, no pun intended. And they had some success. They had some beats. He said him and his boy, they produced most of the beats on the game's documentary DVD. So if you bought his deluxe version of the documentary, it came with the DVD where he's going through like, his hood and talking and stuff. And my guy and his boy, like, they produced, he said, some of the sounds on that DVD. And then they did another beat on Fat Joe's album, I think it was the Me, Myself, and I album that had that Make It Rain track with Lil Wayne. They didn't do that beat, right, but they worked on a different beat that made that album. But the thing that stopped my boy is, he said the money got funny with the game. They were putting in a lot of time in the studios with the game, and going to his music videos and stuff, and meeting a lot of people and stuff, but the money came up short at the end of the day. So they dipped out, and my guy said that kind of hurt his heart, and he kind of stopped making beats.
Did they have representation? Did they have like an agent and a lawyer and all that other stuff? Or
I never asked him, so I don't know what it was, but they were young at that time. Well, he's your age. I think he's
but probably. But the documentary came out what, 2003 or so?
I think that was 05.
05, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, that's a long time. That's 15 years ago. So yeah, he probably didn't have any type of representation or anything. Yeah, he probably didn't know contracts and all that, because I know I wouldn't have at that time.
Yeah, they were just young. I guess so minus 15 years from 37, we'll say. So he was probably like in his probably around 22-ish, 22, 23, and so
early 20s for sure.
Yeah, so they were probably just young kids in the music industry being happy to be there, but not really focused on the business side. They were just doing what they love. And you hear so many stories in the music industry of people getting taken advantage of. Music is a type of art, so I don't think there's ever like an age limit on it. I feel like if you, even like, I'm sure Dr. Dre, he does it today, even though he's not actively putting out like hit tracks per se, like I'm sure he creates a lot every day, just out of the love. Like I said, everything is practice. So even if you are just making a beat a day or a beat a week. It's all practice, right? Because you have to mentally focus. And I think the knowledge and skills that you've acquired throughout the years doing it, you can either help a lot of people or still elevate your own career to make money and whatever, if you still want to, right? So, but it's like you said, it's about structuring your time and asking yourself, how far do I want to push myself to, get out there? Yeah.
At this point, I would just consider it another stream of income. Like, I wouldn't stop what I'm doing just to do that, because there's time to do both. Like I said, I just have to make the time. And that's on me, but I think just in general, I think most people need to have multiple revenue streams. You got to have income coming from different places, because you just can't trust one particular industry or job or whatever. Even careers, you can't trust one particular thing, just with the way the climate's set up in our society.
I have a few more minutes left because I have to go pick up my manager. I got to go to P-Town, Pomona, and pick up my manager. That's where she works. But
no, for sure.
There's still so much I want to talk to you about and ask you, but we'll have plenty of time in the future.
Yeah, I ain't going nowhere. I got you. We'll have many chats. We even talk about sports chat.
I know that I wrote down a list of things that I wanted to talk to you about, but it's just a time crunch at this point. But I was going to ask you about, the NBA, your shoe collection, your fitness, and then the last thing that I've been kind of getting into the past few months is, which I don't think is a good thing sometimes, but it helps to know, is politics.
I mean, that's an important thing that, like you said, I was never really focused in on it too until really everything that's happened. And I'm more aware of what's happening with that than I ever have been in my entire life. I mean, I've always voted and everything. That's something that was important to me, but the intricacies of every single thing, I never paid attention to before until now. It's definitely an important thing to observe and understand and take a look at, because you need to be informed of what's happening, because it affects you more than you actually know.
Yeah, and I think we're at that age too, where we're starting to take more notice of what's going on in the world and even in our own country. Me personally, the reason I've been getting into it more is because a lot of my immediate family, they're just, I'm in a group chat with them and they talk a lot of shit, so I'm if I want to talk shit with them, I have to step up my IQ. So I went back and started doing a lot of research I started with the history of the world, and then all the way down now to where I'm getting into the American government, which is stuff we learned in civics class in high school, but we don't really remember it, that well. But it's
and they taught it in a certain way that there's a lot more to it than just what they taught you in your government class in high school.
There's many different roads or avenues I want to take with this, if we stayed on the topic of politics. But since I'm on a time crunch right now, I'll ask you.
To be continued.
Yeah, to be continued. But I guess I would ask you one. Were you able to catch the presidential debate last night?
No, I don't watch the debates.
Yeah,
I think I use Twitter to find out what happened, or different news sites to find out some of the things that were said, but I'm not gonna sit and watch two old white dudes bicker at each other. It's not something that interests me. I just need to know what they said about the different policies and plans that they have in place, more than just watching the spectacle of it, because that's really all it is. It's a spectacle.
Yeah, I agree. I can elaborate more on that, but another question that I thought of was, are you familiar with this woman named Candace Owens?
I've heard her name, but I don't remember all of her issues or policies or whatever things she had to do.
Oh, okay.
I forget. I know it, but I don't remember at the moment.
Yeah. To, I guess, sum up what she's about is she's like 31 years old. Well, she became controversial because she's on that black exit from the Democratic Party per se.
Oh, okay. I think okay, yeah.
And she's been controversial because she's saying, she is African American, and she's been saying, like, black people have been brainwashed to only vote Democrat for the Democrats. And she had a revelation after doing her whatever research and joined like the Republican Party. And she's been on this campaign called Blexit, which stands for like the black exit from the Democratic Party. And she's talking mad shit about like black athletes and entertainers, on how they're kind of brainwashed and under the notion of, leading, I guess, the black community in the wrong direction. And that's why she's controversial. But I don't stand by her, and by her statements and stuff. And I feel like I don't know what her exact agenda is. It might be fame, but I feel like if she ever took the time to do more research about like the history of our country and the world, like she would have a broader understanding. And some of the stuff she's saying, she might be like Malcolm X and be like, yo, the shit I was saying was fucked up. The shit I was preaching, man, but who knows, so I don't know. But I guess that's her. Go ahead.
I won't speak for this person. I don't know what her agenda is, but sometimes when you go that far against the grain, you build your own brand that way. So by being that controversial, she's just made herself a brand.
Yeah.
So whether people agree or disagree, in some instances it might be irrelevant, because now she has become probably a poster person for the Republican Party, as opposed to if she was part of the Democrats like she was before. She's just another person that blends in. So it could be a power play move in that case, or she really could believe these things. I don't know, and I can't say for sure.
Yeah, I feel you. I brought her up because I was wondering if you had any thoughts, but like, I agree. Like, who knows what her intentions are, right? We're just assuming by what we see in the media. But
yeah, I mean, again, it's just from an outsider looking in, that's what it looks like to me, is what I said. It's like when you go against the grain like that hard, you're making your own brand. I mean, there's been many people throughout this whole pandemic, when all the protests were happening, they went so hard in the other direction that they built their brand by doing that. And to me, it's just a business move more than anything else.
Yeah. I think so as well, because she did come out with a book like a few weeks ago, and I almost bought it just because I want to talk to her and debate her and argue with her, and maybe hit on her, because she's no, she's attractive. I would say she's probably like I would give her like a 7.5 out of 10 on the looks department, but she's married anyway. But I'm just kidding, but like I would like to like explore her mind a little bit and try to understand why she thinks the way she thinks, and then maybe give her a different perspective off the knowledge that I feel like I've acquired over the past few months or so reading books.
But the thing about that is, the reason why I don't really try to debate with people about these issues is because I don't know if they're going to receive that information. If they already have it dead set that this is the way it's going to be and this is the way I'm going to think, I'm not sure no matter what you say, you can really open it up. I mean, you do have a way with words, so I'll give you that. So you might have a better chance than anybody else. But I just feel like, just from what I've seen with people just bickering back and forth, Googling facts to just throw in each other's faces instead of taking the time and listening and understanding and putting themselves in a different person's perspective, it just doesn't happen as frequently as it should.
Yeah. And my goal if I were to talk to her, it wouldn't be to change her mind, because like you said, people that are set on a way of thinking and they've been thinking that way for years, it's hard to get them to change their mind. But my purpose to talk with her would be to open the minds of the people who listen, everybody who's listening to the conversation. Because when you have that much influence over people's minds, like if you're not giving...
Oh no, that's a dangerous thing when you have influence over people like that.
Yeah, it's a dangerous game. It's a dangerous game to play. And you know, so that's why sometimes, because when I see certain people, not just her, there's other people that are, I guess, political commentators that I watch a little bit, and I'm like, man, I don't agree with this person. Is this person just talking shit for views and to get their brand up, or do they really believe what they're saying? You know what I mean? And that's why I would want to conversate with certain people in the industry
to figure out if it's just a hot take for being just to be controversial, or do they really believe it? Yeah. I mean, that's... And
you would never know. You would never know until you sit down with somebody and try to look them in their eye and say, yo, do you really believe the bullshit you're saying? That would be fun. I have to get going, but is there anything like that you want to add on or say before we continue later on?
No, I'm just waiting for the next time, man. We gotta do this again real soon.
Yeah,
I'm ready.
I can talk for hours, man. That's one thing I realized about myself, is I like to talk and I like to argue with people. Not in a negative way. No, but you know, present points and counterpoints, and no, it's important. I think communication is one of the most important things. I guess that's probably my closing thing, is I just wish people were able to communicate better and have a general understanding of each other. And I think we'd all be in a much better place if we just took the time to really understand each other and listen to each other. I agree 100%. And sometimes I think it's hard to really find time or sit down with somebody and have like a in-depth conversation. And I feel like sometimes the best or most mind-altering, changing thoughts come from conversing with somebody who knows something that you don't know, right? And just sharing ideas and thoughts. So
absolutely.
Yeah, man, there's a lot of shit I want to say, or there's a lot of stuff I want to say, and but I have to get going. But I appreciate your time, man. I know you're a busy man, so I appreciate you taking the time out of your day, and hopefully we can schedule another one soon.
You just let me know and I got you. Easy money.
Maybe have a drink and smoke, and then we can get into some real shit. Not to say the shit that we just talked about for the past hour or so wasn't real. You know, it's as real as it can be. But
there's a lot more we got to get into. I like I said, we got to get into the sports stuff. We got to get into some more music stuff. It's just, there's a lot, you know. So whenever you're ready, I'm ready.
Sounds good, my friend. I appreciate it. Go ahead and, plug, if you want to plug your thing one more time, or give a shout out to anybody, go for it.
Check out the beat tapes, www.uncannymusic.bandcamp.com.
Thank you.
This concludes our Danse Macabre.
I didn't even get to smoke no trees. Or I had this ready to go. I had this ready to go.
Oh, look at you.
Some New Amsterdam.
Wow.
Not the best shit, but that's all I got. Yeah. So,
I see you growing a little beard there, dude. What's going on with the facials?
Man, I haven't shaved since the pandemic started back in February, March. Yeah, so I'm like, fuck it, man. Like,
this is your COVID beard, huh?
Yeah, my hair is getting long too. If I take this shit off, and my hair is probably down to here now. So dang. I told my manager I'm just gonna grow this shit till the shit, this COVID shit is over with, you know. So who knows when that's gonna be, right?
Man, I have no idea, dude. Everything I read, it's getting even worse, dude. Like the cases are going up because I don't know. Yeah,
I don't. And the weather's going to be getting like colder in California.
Cold flu season.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I think the cases will definitely go up. I just don't think they're gonna shut everything down all the way again. I just feel like
by next year they're just going to be like, well, wear your mask, protect yourself the best you can, get back out there.
That's why this current presidential debate is so important, right? Because I think the way Trump is going right now, like the way he handles it, it would be kind of going like how it is. But if we get a new administration in, like they might do a 180 and say, fuck it, let's lock shit down. And people don't really want that. But realistically speaking, if you want to get rid of a invisible threat, that's the only way really, is to shut shit down. And I think kind of like clean everything, clean shit and then shut shit down. Yeah. But I think people don't want that. The majority of the people don't want that. Unless the only way they would want that is if our government was able to provide free bread, aka the money. If they were like, we'll shut shit down, but we're gonna give everybody like stimulus, extra unemployment money, then I feel like people might be more inclined. But if that's not in the deal, then people are like, yo, we gotta eat, right?
Well, and that's the thing, is certain politicians will tell you, well, if we do something like that, your taxes are going to go up. And people get so scared of those words. My taxes are going to go up. And they'll use that for any excuse not to do something. I just want to tell these people, dude, it doesn't matter. Your taxes are going to go up regardless of what they spend it on. Make them spend that money back on us. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's the bullshit too that a lot of people talk is taxes, right? They talk a lot of bullshit about taxes, right? And I'm like, do you motherfuckers even really know how taxes affect you, like percentages and marginal taxes and things of that nature? Like shit that I didn't even know, before, but I just learned about too. So like, that's why when they talk that tax bullshit, I just laugh, because once you know the truth and you do your research and understand like how people get taxed, you're like, yo, your lifestyle is not going to change if the taxes go up or down a little bit, by some percentages. You won't even notice, right? A lot of they wouldn't even notice. All that tax bullshit is more for like big businesses, corporations. They feel that shit a little bit heavier because they're
and the thing that's hilarious to me is people talking about, I don't want free handouts, this, that, and the other. We don't want people on welfare and this, that, and the other. And I'm just like, y'all realize they give that to corporations all the time with these tax breaks and tax cuts and everything else that they do, and they bail out big businesses all the time with our money.
I'm ending this shit right here, man, because I gotta go, and this is some shit that we can go into, and this is the real shit that we need to put on the podcast. But
I mean, you can just clip that last part and just throw it up anyway.
I'm sober right now, but this is the liberal shit that I want to be talking freely. You know what I mean? You'll as we do more episodes, you'll see the difference between my sober mind versus when I start drinking and smoking, and I think a lot of times people like that. From my experience, people like the drinking a little bit and smoking a little bit branding better than the sober one, because when I'm sober, I'm more like articulate with how I think. right. But it gets more real when I smoke and drink because I speak freely. But I appreciate you, my friend. I got to go pick up my girl, but man.
I appreciate you too, brother. Just hit me up and let me know when you want to do it again.
I appreciate it, man. Have a good weekend, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks again.
All right, for sure. Drive safe, bro.
All right. Thank you, Uncanny. Take care.
Later.
All right.